apparently there's a lot of people that want to watch live stuff. So I thought I'd give it a go. Well, sorry if I don't sound too proficient and scripted because I'm not. What I thought I'd do is a live questions and answers. So if anybody's out there, they can ask a question and I'll try and answer it. And it's live, so therefore I don't know what's going to come up. And obviously, live is dead, and so if I dry up, as they say, I die on the stage like the professionals do. You never know; it could be fun. Anyway, so I thought I'd just sort of start talking and see how we get on. If there's anybody there interested, they can send a message. I'm sure there's a way of doing it. It says on there, remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. So it means we've got to make sure we don't give up too much information and not be rude. Well, I won't be rude because I don't do that sort of thing. So anyway, if anybody's around, that's good. If not, then well, you can catch it on the replay. I believe they do those. I used to do lives a lot actually. I used to do them every week at the same time of night, which was around about this time of night as it happens. But after about 14 months, I decided that I had other things that were more important to do, and so I stopped doing them, which was a shame. But they were the ones that were on. They were the horizontal. So this is a vertical live, which apparently is the latest thing, and people appreciate them. So I hear. Oh, it's very difficult to just talk to yourself and make any sense. So I do ask your forgiveness if I'm not making a lot of sense, but I'm giving it a go. And that's all they say you should do is push the button and give it a go. So I am. Right. So what I thought I might talk about is with the weather having just changed from, well, certainly in the northern hemisphere, we're going into autumn and it's going to be getting cold. Certainly in the UK, it's going to be getting cold. Well, I mean, it's all relative. One of these things I can do is I could say, well, in the winter in the UK it gets to about 0 degrees, which I think is 32 Fahrenheit, and it might even drop to -7 occasionally where I live, which is about what's that, let's say it's about 28 degrees, something like that, Fahrenheit. I am old enough to know what Fahrenheit is. I mean, for instance, I know that 20 degrees Celsius or centigrade is I think it's now called centigrade. See, now there you go. I don't know whether it's called centigrade or Celsius. I know they're both the same thing, but I can't remember which came in first. Anyway, so Celsius is the guy who it was named after, and centigrade is the fact it's 100 degrees. So 20 degrees Celsius or centigrade is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So no confusions there. If you want to know how hot something is, I'm aware that 80 degrees is quite warm, and I'm aware that 90 degrees is very warm, and 90 degrees is approximately 20. It's about 32 degrees or something Celsius. Anyway, once you get past about 26 Celsius, as far as I'm concerned, as a Brit, it's getting hot. So that's all that matters, really. Do you remember went cycling through the desert once on a bike, which is the best way to do cycling. And it was quite interesting because we were going from Jordan down to, we're going from, where was it? It was the Dead Sea we'd been through. We were going through the desert and we were heading down towards the crossing into Israel. This was before all the recent troubles had blown up again. And we were going through this desert and it was, I think it was 40 degrees, 45 degrees, something like that Celsius, which is about 120 Fahrenheit, I think. Somebody said it was that sort of number anyway, but I'm sure you can appreciate that 40 is a lot more than 20, so it was hot. And the problem we had was that we were cycling in the same direction as the wind, which meant, and what's more, the wind was a 15-kilometer wind. Was it 15 mile an hour wind? Because we're still British, we still use miles an hour. So it was a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and we were going in the same direction, which meant that actually we basically went crispy. It was very much like, well, we were just sitting. There was no wind because we were going the same speed as the wind. The fact it was pointing us in the same direction as the wind meant that we were. It was helping us along, but we weren't getting any cooling from it. So yeah, that was an experience. There was about 25 people in our group, and there was a lot of crispy people that night, and I was one of them. As we know, anyway, I'm going to have a quick cough. Sorry, but I'm just getting over a cold, and yeah, when you've got a cough, you've got a cough. Right. So what else was there to say? Oh yes, the latest technology is quite interesting. So actually, I've got something I just recently done. So I might as well turn this into a review if you like. I had the problem. I bought a new computer, and the trouble with new computers is they don't necessarily come with everything. In fact, depending where you get them from, they can just literally be just the desktop unit, and you end up without having a keyboard or things. Most of the people do supply a keyboard, but not all of them. And so you buy a desktop unit, and you've got yourself. Then the problem of buying a keyboard and a monitor and anything else. Now, the one I got, I actually ended up literally with just the desktop unit. It's a Dell, and it's got 32 gigs of RAM. And it's a fairly fast processor, and yeah, it's a gaming machine. Allegedly, it's got an NVIDIA card in it, but it's not the latest spec. It's a couple of years old. It's sort of refurb, I guess. Although that wasn't what it was advertised as. But anyway, it's either a refurb or old stock, but it works very well. However, it didn't come with a Wi-Fi connector. It did come with Ethernet, but it didn't come with Wi-Fi. So I had to go out and buy a dongle. That was irritating. And then, having done that, I also had to, well, they did actually supply it as a kit, so it wasn't actually as bad value as you might think. I've got a 27-inch monitor. Do you know how big 27 inches is? Well, if you're in the centimeters, no. 27 inches is pretty big. For many years, well, it's bigger than the TV we had in our living room for many years. And yeah, so it's a 27-inch monitor, but actually it's not a 16:9. It's I think it's something like an 18:9 or something like that. So it's actually slightly wider than it is tall for the ratio, but it does give a very nice picture. It's actually an proper brand, AO or something like that. Anyway, so got that and bought. It came also with a gaming keyboard. One problem when now here is a thing. One thing to look out for. Depends on what part of the world you're in and what your native language is, obviously. But the gaming set came with a rather flashy mouse. I say flashy because it literally flashes. Goes through pretty patterns. I've got to find out how to turn that off because obviously the good thing about a gaming machine is that they tend to be more powerful than your average. I just want to type a document machine, and this came with 2 drives. I think it's 2 terabytes, which is pretty good. Unusual on modern machines to get big hard drives. Seems to be they like to sell you machines with teeny little hard drives, and you have to use it all on the cloud. The trouble with that is, of course, you might have a high-speed hard drive, but the cloud is as slow as your internet connection. That's a thought. And yeah, the keyboard, yeah, it's. I'll show you. Excuse me. How's that for a keyboard, eh? Pretty lights and everything. I haven't found out how to turn them off yet either, because they are slightly irritating. It's a Havit gaming keyboard. It's a model KB501C M for home or office use. Obviously, it's made in China. And I mean, I must admit, it's quite nice, but the keys, I don't know whether this is a feature or a fault, but they're a little bit sort of overly tactile. Does that make sense? And obviously, I don't know if you can see the actual the keys don't light up themselves, and so they're quite hard. If you're not a touch typist, which, to be honest, I'm not, but I'm more of a touch typist than most. I did actually do touch typing, and I did learn how to do it. But what I was going to say was, depending on what part of the world you're in, make sure you get a keyboard, preferably that is in your language. This one is an English language keyboard, sort of true American. It's got the good old US of A layout. Well, what difference does that make? You may say. I'll tell you. It's a pain in the proverbial because it's not the same as a UK standard keyboard, and the differences are primarily there is no pound sign. Now, when I say that, if you're in America, you know what pound signs are. They're those funny hashes. We call those hashtags or hashes. Um, we normally have ours down on, well, it's about the second row up and right near the end. So yeah, on this keyboard, it's a Shift 3. Now, on the Shift 3, normally on a UK keyboard, that would be a pound sterling sign, you know, the currency sign. Normally the dollar is in the same place, so that's all right. But on this one, Shift 1 is an exclamation mark. Well, that's okay, you can cope with that. But Shift 2 is the @ sign. Now, I don't know what it's called in the rest of the world, but it's the A with the thing around it, you know, so as in part of your email address, the @ sign. I spent ages looking the other day for something else. The speech marks, quote marks, whatever you want to call them, they are shift, what do they call it? The little comma that goes up the top to separate, you know, like that's THAT apostrophe, that's the word. So shift apostrophe in this case is quote marks, speech marks. I've heard them called various things. Well, that's okay. I can cope with that. And but it's in the wrong place. I mean, it's totally the wrong place because it's next to it's second row up, second key in if you don't count the enter key. Or yeah, and third key in is, well, that's the same. That's colon and semicolon. I've never understood why the colon is a shift and the semicolon isn't. When you use colons more, well, I use colons more often. Don't know about anybody else, but I do. There's a couple of other things like the home key and whatever's different place. That could just be this particular model of keyboard. But yeah, it's a bit of a problem. And I had to actually go and override because there is no pound sterling sign on here. So I've had to learn the code, which is an ASCII code. It's alternate 0 I don't know. I've forgotten it again. But I have tried remapping the keyboard, which you can do with Windows 11. You can do it, and I've made it so that the key on the far left hand side, which is sort of like I don't know, it's a squiggle. The top, the one before the number 1, which if anybody knows what that is, then you can let me know. But I've tried remapping that to be a pound sign, as in pound sterling sign, which may or may not work, but I haven't actually done any major typing on here using Word. I know on Word I've told it when it sees that it's that, but I had a problem with telling Windows because it made a couple of things fall over. It wasn't very happy with it. So I figured that actually it was easier for me to learn where it is than tell the computer what I wanted it to be. Well, there we go. It's one of those things. Um, what else about it? It's quite nice. It is very fast. It's with the third. I tell you what, I've got a more. Well, I've got a different machine as well, which is you'll have seen it. It's my Acer, and that one really goes well. And this is quicker. But with these high-speed machines, it is important that you get good internet. I've had a problem with my internet lately. The internet was giving lots of problems, whereby it was meant to be a 10 MB megabit upload speed, which works out as being 1.25 megabytes. As it happens, you can work that out. It's roughly a tenth of it, and it was giving nothing but everything was being delayed all the time. It was basically it took 2 attempts to do anything, and then when it did, it was slow. And when I checked the speed, it was running at 5.7 megabits a second. 5.7. And no matter what I did, it came in at 5.7. So I phoned up the company that we bought it from, or getting it from. I said, "Oh, this isn't very good." And they said, "Oh, you got a lot on it." I said, "Well, yeah, but none of it's switched on." They said, "Oh, well, the cards are on." I said, "Well, I don't think somehow that a card that is connected but isn't doing anything is going to be causing the problem." And they said, "Oh, yeah. I said, they said, you know, where is your router?" I said, "Is it on the floor?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Oh, well, it's not the best place for it." I said, "Well, before you tell me that," I said, maybe you ought to think about the fact that I actually know where the best place for the router is. I've had internet with you for 10 years, and I do know the best place for the router. And it happens to be on the floor because that's where it works. Because if I pick it up and put it anywhere else, it doesn't work any better. What actually happens is that it gives problems because I haven't got anywhere to put it, and the signal's going in the wrong directions. Where it is the best place for it, and anyway, I've got a couple of extenders on it. Oh, they said, "You got extenders?" I said, "Yeah, I've got extenders." They said, "Oh, right, okay." I said, "Well, one of them's because the signal won't go through a glass door. Well, it will, but it won't reach the doorbell." And they said, "Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't sound right." I said, "Well, that's the way it is." So that extender's working on pick up the Wi-Fi and redistribute it, which is fine. They said, "Oh yes, that'll be the one we can see there then." I said, "Yeah, that'd be the Ring doorbell," because they're looking at the router from their end. And they say, "Well, it definitely says it's got 9.99. I said, "I think you'll find that that's telling you that's what's being asked for. That's what the router is set for, not what it's actually doing." He said, "Oh, no, that's definitely what it is." Well, okay. So where's the rest of the signal going? They said, "Oh, well, you've got 15 devices connected." I said, "Yeah, but as I said to you, I've got this computer, there is a TV, and that's all that's switched on." I said, "Oh, yes, but they're all there. They're all there." I said, "But, you know, why am I bashing my head against the wall?" And anyway, they kept on telling me that was all it was. I said, "What about something else?" They said, "Well, is it anywhere near electrical equipment or anything?" I said, "You do realise I'm talking about the Ethernet, don't you?" And they said, "What?" I said, "Well, when we first started, I was saying you about the Ethernet. And the thing about the Ethernet is it's plugged into the box. So what I'm reading is on my computer, which is plugged into the Ethernet." And he went, "Oh." But then he carried on again and telling me it was all my fault. And I said to him, "Well, yeah, I used to be, I am a radio amateur. I do know about radio propagation, and I do understand these things." And blah, blah, blah. And he, "Oh, no, it's definitely nothing to do with us. It's definitely your end." Right, okay, so anyway, I raised a complaint, got nowhere with that really, other than they said, "Oh, you got later." Yeah. Anyway, cutting a long story short, I was on the phone 3 times in the end, and basically the same conversation every time. They always came back to the fact that there was a lot of devices connected. They reckoned that I was losing 4.3 megabits per second because of the devices that were switched on, but well, were plugged in but not switched on. And I said, "Well, how come?" Excuse me. Sorry. I said, well, how come, if that's the case, when I go over um, with my phone, why do I get the same signal on the Wi-Fi as on the Ethernet, or whatever? Oh, well, that's not very likely. I said, well, it is. And I speak with the guy, and I said, so I've got my phone on the Wi-Fi with the speed test running, and it's giving me exactly the same speed as what the Ethernet was. And he said, oh, well, I don't know how far away you are from it. So I've got my phone, which is one I'm using there as it happens, and I went tap, 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 because I was literally, that was the router, that was my phone, and I said, I have got my phone, it is next to the router. And they said, but I don't know how far away that is. So I went bang, bang, bang. And he went, well, I still don't know how far away it is. I said, well, I'm telling you, I'm hitting the router with the phone. Bang, bang, bang. And he went, but that doesn't mean anything. I said, are you telling me I'm a liar? At which point he backtracked slightly. Anyway, spoke to somebody else eventually, and hey presto, what I ended up with was, well, they said they would. I wasn't happy, and I was going to leave. But this took another hour on the phone, and they said, "Well, we don't want you to leave." I said, "Well, I don't want to leave, but I can get a better service, and at least they won't be calling me an idiot if I just go to Amazon, get myself a router of my own, use a SD card, not an SD card, a SIM. I can have my own internet." And they said, "Well, but I'm aware. One reason I wouldn't do that is because when there's bad weather, the mobile data has a habit of doing some funny things, and if there's something major happening, people will switch on their phones, and the lines jam up. So that's what happens when you've got a mobile phone. I'm guessing the data sims don't have a lot more luck. Anyway, so they said, well, okay. And I spoke to the retention department, and they said they'd give me a credit for the problems and whatever. So that's all turning out not too bad. However, the following day, because I was expecting them to turn the speed back up, the following day I went on with the speed test, and would you believe, without me having done anything at my end, the 5.7, which it was capped at, which it never went above before, came in at 8.7. And for the rest of the day, in fact, of the 2 days, it remained, in fact, it actually hit 9 at one point. So without me doing anything at my end, without having unplugged anything or done anything at all that the guy said was causing all the problems, suddenly we were getting our extra speed. And what's more, we were getting the response, the pinging, I guess is what it was. That was happening more like it should do. And the end result of all that, well, it was a lot better. And I'm just thinking, I actually said this. I spoke to somebody in customer services. It's funny that since I've spoken to you guys and put in a complaint and all the rest of it, that suddenly 2 days afterwards, or well, actually the next day really, most of the problems that we were getting magically cleared, having spent over 3 hours on the phone, blah blah blah. And they said, "Oh, we'll give you a credit for that." And they gave me 30 quid, which it's not very good hourly rate. It's less than the minimum wage, but nevertheless, it's 30 quid. I haven't got to find for something, and so I'm quite pleased with that. And they've also now given us the higher speed, which is 80 down and 20 up. 80 down and 20 up. So that's double the up speed. And when I checked it, we were actually getting about 18 or 19 up. And we were getting about 36, 37 down. Obviously, it's going to vary because although we're on fibre, we're fibre to cabinet, copper to house. And there's nothing I can do about that, which is it's just one of those things. Pain in the backside, but you've got to go with what you've got to go with. Anyway, that's that. I think I might do these on a regular basis. It would be nice if anybody was there, but or if anybody gives any thumbs up, whatever, that'd be good. If you've got anything out of this, then please. Oh no, actually, I was going to talk about that, wasn't I? Oh yes, this was part. Sorry, got rid of that. Hope nobody's disappeared. Got some of these. I'm going to do a proper review on them. Obviously, that's batch front, but I will do a proper review on some of these because that came with the new computer. Say came with. Actually, it didn't. My daughter bought them for me for Father's Day, which was rather nice. Or was it my birthday? No, it was my birthday. Yeah, so I got those for my birthday, and I'll tell you what I think about them. I will be honest, and you'll even be able to hear them a bit. Although the problem, of course, with YouTube is trying to prove how speakers sound. What do you record them on? And how do you play them back? Anyway, we'll worry about that as another time. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this, then maybe you could put in a like, or maybe you could subscribe to the channel. If you want to have, if you can suggest a regular time to be doing this time of day, that'd be good. If you can recommend a regular time a week, or do you want every day, or whatever, anything you like. This is my first proper live in vertical format, and I'm more than happy to go with it. My channel and I cover electronics, domestic, semi-pro, hi-fi video, computers, air fryers, washing machines, you name it. And if it's electrical or mechanical or electromechanical, then there's a reasonable chance I can help you out, or at least point you in the right direction. You never know. If you don't ask, you don't get. So that's what it comes down to. And if you're listening to this on the replay, which I guess you are, then thank you very much for listening. And like I say, leave a comment, do the likes, do the subscribes, and I'll catch you another time. Cheers. Bye bye.